One of the more common questions we face from international students these days is what's better, a bachelor's degree or a master's degree? And so, Manvi, tell us when it comes to financial investment, is one better than the other when it comes to master's versus bachelor's degree?
Hard to pick one, honestly, because it depends on an individual preference. I did my undergrad here, so I'm a little biased. I definitely say I loved my time being an undergrad student right out of high school in the US. And I'm going to say it's undergrad, but I can share more about master's versus undergrad in the video, and then we can leave it up to the audience to decide.
Definitely. I know paying for 4 years is going to add a bigger bill compared to a 2 year master's, but it seems like undergrad tends to have more options for scholarships and financial assistance as well. Would that be correct?
Not really, because
Not
scholarships,
really.
not really, because in my experience, as an undergrad, you don't really get a lot of scholarships, or maybe even as an international student, perhaps. Like an international student doesn't really have an option to get as many scholarships, but they do have merit based assistantships or TAships that are more available to master students than undergrads. So that is
Mhm.
definitely something to consider.
Oh, I like it. And so, friends, if you want to find out if bachelor's or master's is better for getting jobs, getting visas here in America, stay tuned to find out. Hey, friends, welcome to Chai and Coaching. I'm Rob. At Chai and Coaching, we're all about helping you thrive and succeed in your cross cultural journey. And one of the big questions is going abroad worth it? And then should I go and do my bachelor's, my undergrad? Should I do, my master's, my MS, PhD? So many different ways to go abroad. Master's is definitely the most popular for international students, but maybe not always the right thing for you. So we have an amazing guest, Manvi, who has this great experience. So welcome, Manvi, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, Rob, and hi, everybody else tuned in. I'm Manvee Bansal, originally from Delhi, India. I came to the US in 2018 to pursue my undergrad. I'm not going to be biased towards undergrad in this video, but I did it at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Keenan Flagler Business School. Then I went on to pursue investment banking for a year before moving on to the semiconductor industry in finance and corporate strategy, and also co-founding my own startup simultaneously, one of which got acquired in last year's December, and working on a new one currently.
Yeah. So a lot of great experience. I feel like, 10 years ago, very few international students came for bachelor's, and over the years, it's grown more and more and more in popularity, and they have all these important questions. So I'm excited to break all these things down with you and learn. So tell us now, undergrad versus master's, does one have better career prospects and visa options?
I'd say yes to that question. Masters would be a little bit better because every single job role would look for something that's a little bit more specialized, which a master's degree definitely provides you with. So think of undergrad as something that helps you go wider. So it helps you explore a lot, many more options. But then a master's helps you go deeper into one
Mm.
specific field of your interest. And when looking at jobs, companies definitely prefer someone who has a deeper experience in one field or expertise in one field rather than somebody who has had little experiences in 10 different fields. Specifically for jobs, I'd say masters would be better because it also helps with visa prospects when you go in for the H-1B lottery. I know that people with master's degree definitely have a little bit extra quota, so you have extra chances of getting into the lottery than an undergrad. But as a personal preference, if all that you want to do in life is explore because you're not sure of the career that you want to pursue, I think undergrad in the US would definitely be a good option for that aspect. But specifically for jobs and visas, since that was your question, Rob, I'd say masters would be a little bit better.
Yeah. One qualifier I'll add though is most Americans only have a bachelor's, if they have a college degree. Very, very few Americans will go for master's, PhD, where I know in other parts of the world, you really need to have that master's, to stand out and have a chance in the job search. But it's less common here in America. But I know as an international student, getting that master's really does give you that advantage, that specialization that companies are looking for. So it's good to know how Americans operate, but then maybe what can help you as an outsider, as an international student, to have that step up.
Totally.
Very good. So Now, between the two, master's, undergrad, is there one that can provide more industry connection and networking opportunities?
For that, I think both of them would have their pros and cons. As an undergrad, you spend more years on campus, so you get more time to build long term relationships with people. You have
Mhm.
more time to meet more people in different fields and then really understand about these fields and people more. Whereas for masters, you can get access to targeted meet and greet or networking events. And I think that really would be like the pros of each of them. The con would be that for an undergrad, since you're still in the exploration phase, you might not be as targeted or specialized to find the kind of people to be in your network. While in the master's degree, the time that you spend on campus is very little. So, really, most of the time is gone spending into settling into the new environment, understanding about it, and before you know, it's all over. So, you have to get in with a very sharp mindset, a very clear mindset of who you want to meet, how you want to meet them, how you want to pursue the relationship. So really, there are pros and cons to each of them.
Yeah, as a master's student, those, 2 years or even 1 year flies by really quickly. Whereas a bachelor student, you have more time to pace and explore different things and build out that profile. So that time factor does make a difference.
It makes a big difference.
Did you know that getting admitted into a top university isn't the only hard thing about going abroad? There's so much more that you have to do. Figuring out tuition loans, housing, forex, and more is going to stress you out. But what if everything that you needed to do was just in one place? Cheers to a new online resource dashboard powered by Foreign Advocates, which has everything you need to do to easily study abroad. Try the loan widget, which is like a magic wand letting you compare loan offers from over 15 banks in real time, saving you precious time and effort. With just a few clicks, you can see interest rates, loan terms, and other important details right on your screen, and even send your application from within the platform. The best part is that it only takes 2 minutes for the loan widget to determine if your loan application would be approved or not from fantastic banks like Prodigy, HDFC Credila, Axis, ICICI, and many more. Save more time by utilizing other services like student housing, forex transfer, bank accounts, SIM cards, credit cards, travel and health insurance, plus more. Check out the links above and in the video description to apply and get help today. I hope you can take advantage of this all-in-one study abroad resource platform to make your journey even more successful.
Friends, if you're learning a lot, hit that like button to say cheers and thanks to Manvee, sharing her experience. And our chai question for you guys is, what do you think is better? Is undergrad or master's degree better for going abroad? Is master's or undergrad better for international students in terms of value or, opportunities? Let us know what you guys think in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback and from your experience, which might be similar or different. Now, Manvi, let's do a compare and contrast between specialization and broad learning and which degrees kind of help or hurt with those things.
In one sentence, if I had to answer that question, Rob, I would say that think of doing undergrad as subscribing for Netflix Premium, whereas think of doing a master's as binge watching all the episodes of just one series. So you know everything about that series, but then once you have the premium subscription, you can watch everything and anything that you want a little by little. That's really the difference between doing an undergrad and a master's. So the key differences would be one of the big things would be 4 years undergrad versus 1.5 to 2 years of master's. More investment is required in undergrad, lesser or maybe even a faster return on investment in master's. As I mentioned before, undergrad, you go wide, so you get to explore a lot. For example, when I did my undergrad in the US, I was a business student, but I studied physics, I studied gemstones, I studied filmmaking. It was just a lot of different fields that I would never have gotten the opportunity to learn if I didn't do my undergrad here. Whereas in
Mhm.
master's, you just have a very clear idea of the field that you want to pursue and maybe even a subset of that field that you want to go very deep in and almost become an expert in. That is what a master's degree provides you with. You have to have a very clear mindset, and if you have that, then you can very deeply integrate into the field with a master's degree.
In terms of timing, any tips on specializing, whether earlier or later when thinking about these degree programs?
That is such a great yet tricky question. I'm going to say that I personally think specializing later has helped me. Why? Because being very broad and open during my early years, which is a key difference between education system in the US and in
Mhm.
Asian countries, is that in Asian countries, you need to have your specialization decided very early on.
Hmm.
I think in those early years, not everyone has had the opportunity to explore all the different fields or to find what they're good at. It's almost like asking a fish to climb a tree only because there's no water nearby. That is something that I feel US undergrad has been great for me because I just knew I wanted to do entrepreneurship. I didn't know what field I wanted to actually do my business in. And that is why undergrad has helped me figure out that, okay, tech is something that I'm interested in. I'm interested in the monetization of tech, which is why now I'm pursuing entrepreneurship and co-founding technical companies. Whereas some people would think otherwise. In some fields I know, like medical field and whatnot, I know that specializing early on is just better because it prepares you for what your career has in store for you later. But I would say early years, just explore, find out where your passion truly lies, and then specialize in the later years of your life. And when I mean by later, it's not like 40s, it's like just late 20s, which is still not late. Age is just a number. So that is just my personal opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah. Start broad, experiment, get some data points, and then use that data to figure out what you want to refine, focus in, and really hone in on later on. So yeah, I totally agree with that advice. And now, when it comes to undergrad versus masters, how do they impact someone's long-term ability to stay in the America, especially if they want to think about long-term career and visa options?
In terms of visa, look, being an undergrad gives you limited visa options. Of course, you get your OPT, but you get that with masters as well. Whereas in masters, there's a higher chance of getting the STEM extension in most fields than in an undergrad degree. And then even after that, once you're in the H-1B lottery, the very traditional visa option for most students, the chances of getting an H-1B is higher when you have a master's degree because there's an additional quota for master's graduates than undergrads. So really, just on the surface level, I'd say a master's degree might provide you with better opportunities to stay in the country. But if you plan it well, even an undergrad can help you stay here long term. I did my undergrad, I'm still here. So I mean, it's really not a question of either or, it's how you plan it and how you pursue it that kind of helps you.
Yeah, and planning ahead is so important, especially as an international student. Most students are just thinking about this week or this semester, but you need to think post graduation. And if you think ahead, whether undergrad or master's, you can begin building that profile and qualifying for things like an O1, EB1, other specialized, more flexible talent visas that fast track the green card and PR process. And so make sure you're looking ahead, seeing what you can do to qualify, and not just being stuck on the student or H1B visa and kind of being trapped. So we've got a lot of other videos that cover those topics. So make sure you're educated and you know your pathways.
Just a friendly reminder to check out our study abroad dashboard with dozens of resources to make your journey even smoother. Get your tuition loan secured, housing booked, bank account open, and much more accomplished today. Click the link in the video description to save time and money right now.
Manvee, I think you painted a great balanced view on both undergrad and masters. And friends, if you want to learn more, we made a couple other great videos with Manvee. One of them is her specific focus about investment banking and finance, and if those degrees and careers are worth it abroad here in America. So if you want to learn about that, we've got the links. Check those out and to see if those jobs and degrees are worth it, the investment to go abroad. So, Manvee, again, thank you so much. I think this is an important comparison to discuss. I think this information is going to help people make those better decisions. So, thank you sharing your experiences.
I'm very glad, Rob, and I hope that it's helpful to some people at least. And thank you so much for inviting me. This was a lovely chat.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And friends, make sure to connect with us online on LinkedIn, social media, Instagram as well. Make sure you're getting our weekly e-newsletter to get more resources and tips and things that we don't even cover in all of our videos. We love having you be part of our Chai and Coaching audience. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, everybody.